Hello, Joan. This is lvt. I've been trying for over a year now, since last May, to respond to that final email to finish our conversation, and I've been unable to put into words exactly what it is I want to express to you, convey to you. So I'm going to use this format right here. This is me. So you'll have a face to go with who you've been talking to all this time. And this is where we're going to start. To me, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of what I know, of who I am, of what we are here. This is what it looks like where I come from. It's like a blue plasma field, and we're all just these little lights within this plasma field. And the little string effect going on is the way we communicate with each other, and it's done emotionally and electrically. And in a moment of time, I was in this place and began vibrating extremely fast. And the next thing I knew, I was shot with a beam of light, an intense stream, much stronger than anything here. And I was traveling across space, separate from this place, into the sun that's in the sky above our heads. And I was shot into the middle of this sun. And I'll tell you that it's dark in there. There's no light in the center. The light expression is on the outside. The inside is dark. And it's like a changing station. A subway, kind of. You go in there and you get off one beam of light and you whirl around in the center and you jump on another beam of light that's going out. And I came out of another beam of light. I traveled on that beam through the sky into the body that I'm now in. It entered through the right eye and landed in the back left side of the brain. It was very dark, very cold, and wet. These were some of the first things I ever felt. I'd never felt wet. I'd never seen dark except for in the sun, and that was momentarily. But I didn't have the presence of being alone that I did inside this body. I had never been alone before. I had never been separate. There had always been everything and everybody. We were all connected in every way. Yet each had our own individual self or consciousness to us, our will. We had our own will. And the body was dark. It was cold. I did not like it. I did not understand why I was there. And up above, I saw two red oval shapes in this darkness. And I was encouraged by the sun to move towards these two oval red shapes from the back of the left-hand side of the brain. So I did. And when I got close enough, I seen that they opened. And this is what I saw. This was the first thing I ever saw in this body. It was a beautiful wheat field with a beautiful tree and the sun rising on the left. And the sun began speaking to me. And the body was very cold. And it moved itself down the body. Certain rays of light intensified themselves on the body, and to warm it up. It became warm. I had the sensation of feeling for the first time. Two different rays expressed themselves on my hands, and the sun was explaining to me about this body, that this was mine, and this was where I would be for now. Very authoritative, almost mechanical-like in nature. masculine voice, did not seem very sympathetic to my situation. It seemed more like he was just doing a job. It's just changing a baby's diaper. You know, you're loving them while you're doing it, but this is not an affectionate moment at all. He was very stern about it. A very stern, but I still got the sense that the son was teaching me. He was teaching me about my body. And I was completely overwhelmed. It was traumatic. The separation, the intense trauma of separation was almost more than I could bear. I had full awareness. I was quite aware I had an older sister and two parents that had made this body. This body was a part of their collective now. And I would reach out to them emotionally the way I always had, and I got no response from them. They could not hear my cries. They could not hear anything. My expressions of love, my wanting to understand, nothing. It was like everybody was deaf. And they were communicating in language that I did not understand. But as I began to learn language, I still found it very limited, even as I do today. I needed to express myself. I didn't understand what was going on. I was in a household that was full of hate. There was no love there. There was no expression of life. It was complete misery and abuse. My older sister was trying to smother me with a pillow, hurt me, poke me, grab me, cut me, whatever she could do when nobody was watching her, when nobody was watching me. My father was gone all the time, from sunup to sundown. He had no say in the household, and my mother was extremely violent. She ruled with an iron fist. She believed fear was the master controller. She didn't want 5 kids. I don't think she wanted to be married. My mother never told me she loved me. She never held me, never rocked me. The neglect to me was far worse than the physical and the mental and the verbal abuse. It was the essence of being not wanted, not loved, pushed away, being told if abortion was legal you would not be here. I don't want you. That was horrifying to me. I could not conceive how beings, sentient beings, could interact this way. Did they not remember who they were and where they were from? It was incredible to me. The concept was beyond what I was willing to accept. And this went on for about 5 years. There was a lot of abuse in the home. We were shoved off on a lot of babysitters and nannies. Sexual abuse that was neighbors. We had nobody to protect us. Everybody around us abused us. There was no love and no protection, to the point we even abused each other. That was all I knew, and I couldn't accept it. So at the age of about 5, I tried to run away, and which did me no good. When I got found, I got beat very severely. During this time, I'm a very inquisitive child. I want to know who, what, where, when, why, how, about everything. And it's driving my mother slap out of her mind. She can't take it anymore. I loved Sesame Street and the Electric Company and all of these shows that were teaching me how to read. I needed to communicate. There were things I needed to express. During this time, my only source of interaction on what I would call my level were with the animals and nature itself. They understood when I would emanate an expression of love and wanting to connect. The animals would respond. I grew up on a large farm, on a plantation. We grew cotton and corn and sugar cane, and we had a dairy farm. We raised the corn for the cattle, and there were pecan orchards, and it was that part of my childhood was a most wonderful experience. I learned quite a bit about what it is to be a farmer and how the ground works and how nature's works. I spent all of my time outside. Once I got cut loose, the sun come up, Levette was gone. I wasn't remaining in that house. I would come in when dark came, do what I was told to do, off to bed, absolutely terrified. I was told there was raw bones and bloody eyes in my closet and under my bed, and if I so much as let one finger or a hair of my head hang over the side of my bed, much less get up out of the bed, that raw bones and bloody eyes would grab me, pull me under the bed, and eat me alive until I turned into raw bones and bloody eyes. So needless to say, I grew up terrified of the bed, under the bed, and in the closet. Fear-based childhood rearing. But after the runaway attempt, I decided I didn't want to be in this place anymore. I was leaving, and I'd heard my mother talk about the starving boat people and how we should be forced to eat foods that I was having trouble eating. I had a problem with meat. I had a problem with dairy even. I liked bread. I'm a beans, bread, and taters girl, put it to you that way. I love my corn on the cob. I spent a lot of time in the garden eating raw food because I didn't want to go in to get food out of the cabinets. But I decided I'd starve myself to death. This was a way out. This is how you get out of the body. And that decision was close at hand. Because at this point, I'm in the first grade now. I'm having major spiritual experiences going on that I'm relating to the other children. It's not going well. The children are receptive, but the teachers are overhearing it. They're calling my parents to the school. My mother, who is an atheist, doesn't want me talking about I'm having spirits interact with me. Spirits in nature, spirits in animals, sentient beings. I'm not allowed to speak of this. It became a problem, and I was tested. I was the smartest kid in the class. Thanks to Sesame Street and some other things, stealing my sister's books, I'd taught myself to read before I started school. I could read, write, add, subtract, multiply, divide. I wasn't aware that other children weren't doing what I was doing, but that was who I was. I was smart. I had a thirst for knowledge. I needed to communicate. I had a million questions, and I was excited about school. Some of the questions I asked the teacher, my mother was, finally, you go to school, ask her these questions. I don't have your answers. So I did, and it caused a problem. And I'll get to that in the next video, and to what happened when I decided to kill myself.